Hyuga, how are you doing, brother?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Like, this fucking mask is killing me. I look slightly retarded. This is not one of the. Not to say I look good with the other ones, but like this one is kind of killing me.
It's a different one from the one you typically use.
Yeah. I guess so. Well, like we all have to make sacrifices. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you been?
Pretty good. Like we're closing down Free Mania with you guys.
Yeah. Seems to be the
How's
season of 3 minutes.
It's true. It's true. Like both free mints and cheap mints, I would say.
Yeah.
How's life been to you?
It's been good, man. It's been busy, but I'm settling into a routine now. You know, when we had our mint, I had the whole week that followed mint. I took that week off from my, IRL 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Really just focus on that post mint initial launch. So that was much needed and very productive week. This week I've been back to my 9 to 5, spending a bit more time with my family while spending time on Misfits as well. And I think I've reached a nice balance, in terms of being able to spend time on Misfits every day, while also, doing my 9 to 5, which funds everything, and spending some quality time with the family who've missed me. I'd say the month and a half pre-mint, where I wasn't really able to give them as much time as I would have liked.
Oh, I hear it. Right, like what is free time, right? No balance in this game.
Yeah. No, for real. I think, but my family gets it, right? And they're all just as excited as I am about kind of where we are and what we've accomplished so far, and also what's to come, right?
So tell me about it, Goose. Like, talk to me. What is yet to come?
So maybe I'll say a bit about what we've done in just under 2 weeks now. So we've always said, right? I think pre-mint, there's 3 pillars to this when it comes to the Misfits Order. There's the tools, there's the lab, and there's staking. So we delivered the lab, we launched the lab, and although we said we launched with 3 tools, we launched with 6. That's been there, that's been up and running for a bit now. And I've improved them over the past couple of weeks because there's been feedback from our holders on why not do this, introduce this toggle or that toggle. They found a couple of bugs here and there, and we've been able to patch those and improve all the tools. The lab launched next, and it launched with 48 jerseys from every team taking part in the World Cup, which starts tonight. And then I think yesterday I had a surprise drop of 4 basketball jerseys, very limited, 20 jerseys, and it sold out in minutes. So people were excited about that. And then the next kind of phase is me delivering on the last, let's call it pre-mint promise, which is staking, right? And there's been a bit of discussion in our holder chat about when staking is coming and all of this. So I told everybody that I'm building our staking platform from scratch. Some have suggested other existing staking platforms, but the one I'm building is quite unique, I think, because the idea here is that we want people to stake for Solana, right? They want them to get paid in Solana. So it was important for me to get a staking model right and mechanics right, where it's rewarding holders for 2 things, right? First, they have to stake to be eligible. But then when they stake, there's what I call the loyalty component, which is how long they stake for, and the conviction component, which is how many Misfits they will stake, right? And both have multipliers on the daily rate a Misfit would generate. In addition, if you unstake a Misfit before a Solana distribution takes place, that Misfit forfeits their share of the Solana. And at the same time, I want points to reset after every Solana distribution. But holders who continue to stake and don't unstake in between continue to be rewarded for loyalty. And I want it in a way where whales are rewarded for being whales, but let's call it, there's no barrier to like a new holder coming in and staking as well, where they come in late in the game, that they have something to earn as well. So it's very complicated mechanics, which I continue to work through. And I told people, I think before the end of next month, our staking platform will go live. And I'm posting tonight in our Discord an update on how much Solana we've earned so far from royalties from the lab, and how much we'll continue to earn, hopefully. And as we continue to earn, hopefully more Solana, we need to diversify our income streams, because royalties, will come down as volume kind of stabilizes. We're already seeing it in a short period of time in these 2 weeks. To create something sustainable where there is income being generated, and people who stake and continue to hold are able to earn Solana. And the more people that stake, that should, in the long term, have a positive impact on floor price. So that's the model, and that's kind of where we are now and where we're headed. I can't hear you. Sorry if you're saying something.
There we go. Better?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I was saying, like, the end game on like the staking part is like the validator part on your end, right?
Yeah, so it's not really the end game, right? It's what I call the last piece of the puzzle, right? Because it kind of brings what we're earning from royalties and from the lab, and puts in the mechanism that allows people to freeze their NFTs and lock them up in staking and start to earn the Solana. What comes after that, right, is obviously more trades coming into the lab. Every now and again, we'll have limited drops, and with the jerseys being the very first drop, I put in a large amount of each because I didn't want any to sell out at the outset. I wanted everybody to be able to experience the lab, to buy the jersey that they want. But moving forward, the drops are going to be kind of more limited and to make them more desirable. Then we go back to the, and as we continue to improve the tools that we've launch more tools. There are some tools, and I have a share ideas channel in our Discord, and people have given me some really interesting ideas that I haven't thought of myself. There are tools that, while being free for holders, I believe non-holders would pay for, right, to use that tool, and small fees here and there. And then the tools start to generate income for us. After launching the lab, which hasn't been that long, I've had a couple of different NFT projects talk to me about whether there's a white labeling option for the lab where it can be used for other Solana projects. I haven't built a white, like, very easy build your own lab type of platform yet, but that's something that could be built. And these are all ideas which can generate income, right? Because royalties, at least today, are not going to be the same as they were during the first week post-merge, right? So we want to diversify, we want to add more of income, and then reward people who stake, because I do believe, and I keep telling people that I'm not concerned with floor today, right? It's going up and it's coming down, and we're not even 2 weeks old yet. I think long term, after I've delivered and we have a sustainable model, it's very clear, kind of, at least at a high level, how much Solana you could earn for every Misfit you stake, right? That will drive floor price, right? And the more people that stake, the more Solana people can earn, the higher the floor price. It's basic economics, right? So not my focus today, floor price, but down the line, it's important. I think it's important for holders to have the asset that they own appreciate in value.
Absolutely. I mean, like, one could say, like, it can get a lot lower than like the levels we're at right here, right now, right?
Yeah, and like we fluctuated between 0.25 to 0.4 in that range in the 2 weeks we've been. We're at the lower end of where that is today. Um, Obviously, it's all upside from mint, right? So anybody who minted is still in the green today. Um, but I think, and if we look at kind of the other free mints, they all seem to be kind of trading at this level. Um, and for me, as utility starts to come, as utility starts to roll out, I think staking will be a big game changer. Um, I have no doubt that the floor price will follow, right? Um, so that's the plan. That's kind of what's next for Misfits.
Gotcha. I mean, I got like the request out of the comments, out of the litter box, if you will, to go through like the lab. Shall we do that?
Sure, sure. And by the way, just before you pull it up, I listened into a stream that you had where you were going through the traits one by one, and and it made me laugh when because you were talking about there's a lot of black dark traits, right? Clothing traits, and it's very true to what my personal wardrobe looks like. When I was
Nice.
thinking of what traits to draw, it's full of black t-shirts, it's full of black hoodies, it's full of black.
Mm.
Kind of true to things that I wear, but I think the lab will introduce more color and variety as we go.
I mean, you know what? Like, wait. By the way, like, just a quick little sidestep, Hyuga. Is there any chance that you have like the music out of speakers? Because I hear kind of an echo when I put it on.
There is some music that I'm hearing, but I think it's through the stream itself, right? Or
Yeah, it should be. Okay, never mind. Then it's all right. Well, I mean, like, I was not aware that you had like so many traits. I was like, fuck me sideways. Like, there were, I believe, there's 92 or something like that, like clothing traits.
something like that. I know there are in total over 200 different traits. Yeah.
I mean, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, but
yeah.
we went through all of them. And like as you said, like it's kind of like interesting to see how many variations of like a well, like of a black t-shirt. That's for sure. I mean, like, dude, like, tell me about the community. Like, what have you experienced so far?
So I think we're settling into a very chilled and relaxed and laid back vibe in the community, and that's something that I really like. I think we're seeing, people now showing up consistently and chatting and checking on each other. And honestly, it's settled into, I think, a vibe and a pace that works a lot better for me personally than kind of the constant updates you see in when we had it right after Mint or right before Mint. I think it's a very, very chilled vibe, very relaxed. I'm seeing, for example, people come in saying, "Oh, I can't figure out how to buy a trait from the lab," and I'm seeing other holders, reply and explain to them. So it's very friendly, to be honest, very chilled, very laid back, and I think it stays true to this like ethos that I had at the beginning, where this isn't about grinding and spamming and spamming everyone. And I have Ethan with me, and he's a captain in the mod, and he's been a beast since day one, since pre-min, and he's our lead mod. And after we launched the lab, he's asking me, should I ask people to tweet kind of their Misfits with the new jerseys? And I was like, I don't want to specifically ask them, right? Like just say something along the lines of, if you've posted on X, please share the link with us, because I don't want it to be one where I'm asking anybody to do work, right? And I've said it before, like one of the things that I like about us is that, the Misfits Order is a project that will pay you for being here as opposed to the other way around, right? Because everybody who's holding today has allowed me to realize kind of what is really a dream, right? I think a month ago, there is no way I would have imagined I'd be kind of in this position where I have a project that minted out so fast, that has tools, that has people talking about it, that has supporters behind it, and people who are excited about it. So I think a lot of what I'm saying resonates true with people in the Discord today.
Absolutely, it's kind of crazy. I think like you have like a lot of people from like all over the place, right? Like I believe you have pretty much like all of the streamers talking about it. I saw Lucky Seven and Teddy. I saw Ron talking about it. I think like you got like quite like a decent amount of eyes on like the project holistically.
Yeah, no, there's been good coverage, I'd say, since we started and it's a short period of time, right? I'm trying my best not to get carried away too much because it hasn't been 2 weeks yet. I mean, we finished 2 weeks tomorrow, so I'm being very systematic, very methodical about kind of how we move forward and what I promise. Because for me, even my IRL kind of line of work, it's the type of work where people are careful what they put in writing. Let's just say, right? Mm-hmm. So even for me, when I make a promise and a very kind of outright commitment, it's something people can bank on, right? So I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. It's the other way around. I'll promise things that I know will happen and are within my control, and if I can overdeliver, even better.
Yeah, I think like that's the way to do it, right? I think that was probably like the biggest mistake within like NFTs in 2021, to where like people just like promised, like overpromised and flat out fucking didn't deliver. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I think so many projects, had ambitions, let's say, beyond the capacity of the founders, right? And for me, it was extremely important that what I promised to deliver were things that I could deliver, right? Not something I would have to find a dev for or have to find external parties for. It's something that I can deliver myself. And when I say myself, both the tools and the lab, I had certain members of the community, a handful of people, help me with testing before it launched as well. And those testing sessions were very useful and very helpful as well. And it allowed us to roll out what I think is in good time. There's a pace that we're running with, and it's been a good pace. I think it's been a solid 2 weeks, if I can say so myself.
Absolutely. So what do you like? I mean, like the minting strategy, like in hindsight, I think like that one, I mean, like it could not have like gone a lot better in my book, right? I think like it was, in hindsight, not much to basically improve upon when all was said and done. I think it's, if anything, like it was quite genius to basically have it to where like people had to show up. There was only a handful of communities, etc., etc. I think it was smart. Now everything is said and done, and I think like the hype is going to die down, right? Like,
yeah,
in a little bit, and now's the part to where you put like the work in. How do you, other than like whatever utilities you're implementing, how do you foresee people getting entertained within like your own little ecosystem? Do you plan to like participate with games? Like, are you going to have like collabs with other NFT brands, collections? Like, in that sense, apart from the utilities, like what can people expect?
Yeah, no, I think cross community, let's say games and collabs and things like that is definitely coming, right? It's not today, and you can imagine post mint the amount of DMs I got on both Discord and X were a little overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the message to each one has been the same, right? That today we're not doing any collabs, we're not announcing any collabs. Even projects that wanted to give our holders whitelist spots. I've said you can do it publicly on your Discord or post about it in your X account. We're not going to at our end, right? Because this whole collabs comms strategy, let's call it, is not something that I've spent too much time on just yet, right? My focus is on delivering the utility today, right? And let's say by the end of next month, we're going to be 2 months old as a project with utility delivered. And I think then would be the right time to start to think about, okay, when we talk about collabs, when we talk about community projects, what does it look like, right? Because I don't want to start today and have it seem extremely random, you know? I want it to be something that's thought out where, you know, if it's something where we're giving whitelist opportunities to our holders, it's not your typical, I'm just giving you everything, NFA, DYOR, and the like. You know, I want to be able to give them whitelist access to the right projects, you know, when it comes to, you know, which kind of games and which kind of things we would get into. I've done at least 3 poker game opportunities, for example, which would be the right one to say that we want to be a part of. Maybe it's all 3, right? But I think decisions like that, I like to think about, you know, and start to roll out these things in a way that's been thought out, where there's a reason for why it's this poker game, not that one, or why it's all 3, or why it's none, right? Maybe poker is not something that we'll do, or maybe it is. All these things, I want to take the time to really think through properly. But today, in terms of my time and focus, right now it's stake, right? And I'm saying end of next month, if I can roll it out before, then you know, that's where I'll spend my time.
Okay, gotcha. So basically, you want to make sure like this is being handled like perfectly, like to whatever extent that's possible, right? And whenever like the time gets in, like the hype of like the new utilities die down, in that sense, you would actually progress to the next phase, being like community entertainment.
I think community and entertainment, but diversification of income, right? For me, this is important, right? Because when the hype dies down and all of that, royalties tend to come down with it, right? Because volume kind of will come down, and you know, kind of royalties is a function of volume and floor, right? So we'll need to see where that lands. But beyond the lab, we start to look at tools. I like the idea of white labeling the lab. I like some of the ideas in our suggest or share ideas channel in our Discord. So there are things there that can help us also diversify that income, whereby I think today a lot of projects have value because you can stake and you earn a token, and the token has a certain amount of value. I want, you know, in my world, we call it the yield on the investment. So the solana that you'll get per misfit needs to be something that's worth your while, right? There's value in owning the art and owning the PFP. But beyond that, I really want to tie it to earning solana, because for me personally, I've invested a lot of time and money into this project. And the only way I will make a return personally is through the personal bag that I hold, right? So Misfits that the treasury wallets today are not going to be staked. They're not earning SOL, right? Treasury is just distributing SOL. But the Misfits that I have in my personal wallet are going to be how I earn from it. So, and I think it's extremely important for a project to be sustainable long-term, right? Because you see projects that stick around for a year, maybe 2, before they very slowly start to fade. And a lot of the time is because financially, they're just not sustainable, right? There isn't a financial basis for them where royalties start to come down. All of a sudden, the funds to be able to pay the team, to be able to pay for the infrastructure behind their website and tools and apps and all of this is just, it's not what it used to be. So for me, making the Misfits Order something that is sustainable economically on its own right is a very, very important goal.
I mean, like, I would nearly say you'd sound like a sensible business owner to actually make your ecosystem be like self-sustainable. Who would have guessed, right? Within crypto.
Yeah, and I think this is why, right? I think I did things differently pre-mint. We're going to do things differently post-mint. And when I say differently, there's a lot that is similar to many other projects, right? This is a art collection. We're building tools. We're not the first to do it. We're building a lab. We're not the first to do it. We'll do staking. We're not the first to do it. But I think I've thought through what an actual business plan for something like this looks like, right? Where it's feasible, where it's sustainable, and it can work long term.
Gotcha. I guess like to your point, like what you're going to need to do, and like right here, right now, you might as well just use this time to just like get like the utility in and get all of the infrastructure in, like, and afterwards, like when like just before it comes to a halt, like you want to make sure that people are entertained and they're having a good time being part of like Misfits Order.
Yeah. 100%.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, like having said that, like talking about having a good time, I got asked to basically shine a light on your lab. Shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Boom. Here we go. Tell me what I'm looking at.
All right. So main page, after connecting your wallet, you see the Misfits that you have in your wallet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before you click on a Misfit, maybe if you go to the in the navigation bar, you have the trade shop link. You click on that at the top of the website. This is where you'll see all the different trades that are available, right? So you see the 4 basketball jerseys that I told you sold out very quickly. These were very limited, just 20 of them. And then as you scroll down, you'll see the jerseys of every single team competing in the World Cup. Prices for these range from 0.01 sold to 0.05. And the range of prices comes down to, let's call it the pedigree of the team in the World Cup and how they've performed. So like Brazil, Argentina will be at the top end, and teams that are debuting for the first time will be at the lower end. So you'll be able to see which Misfit is eligible. For these jerseys, I've made every clothing trade eligible, right? So you can click on a clothing trade, and you'll be able to see, click on an actual clothing trade, and you'll be able to see kind of which Misfits are there and purchase for it. But even before you do that, before you actually commit to spending SOL on that Misfit, if you go back to My Misfits, at the top,
Yep.
yeah, and you click on any one of them that you're thinking of buying a jersey for, here it loads up this Misfit and all the different traits and trait categories, and you'll see, for example, here you click on that, you expand it, you see everything that he's eligible for, and you can actually preview what your Misfit will look like wearing a particular trait or jersey.
Did you all build this from scratch?
Completely from scratch, yeah.
That's not.
And I'll be honest, like a lot of the mechanics in terms of being able to preview and having a trade shop and everything is similar to how the Primates Lab was built. And the Primates Lab has features that I'm planning to introduce in future updates, where you can, browse the collection to be able to see what other Misfits that you don't hold maybe have also acquired traits, right? So if you see like a Misfit that's listed, you can come back to the lab and see if that Misfit actually has any particular traits purchased. I want to introduce a leaderboard to show which particular Misfits acquired the most traits, because in my opinion, that adds to the value of that Misfit as well.
Yeah, of course, because like you can just like have a floor, me having like all the extra traits. I mean, like there's value there, right?
Exactly.
That's interesting. I mean, like, you know what? Like, it kind of reminds me of GOTM labs in a way.
I haven't seen those, to be honest, but it could be.
Yeah, it's basically like Orbis.
No, I've seen it, but I thought you said that they have a trait swapping lab as well.
Yeah, for sure. So like their main business is NFT infrastructure, and it's just interesting. Like this is essentially what they do as well. Very interesting. I kind of feel like there's like some upcoming meta with like these non-static NFTs, right? I think like there's people just like to change their NFT to their liking essentially.
Yeah, and I think like for events like the World Cup gives you an opportunity to kind of rep and support the team that you want. I don't recall, but I think like some of the more popular jerseys have been Argentina, Brazil, and the US. Um, and somebody suggested, because my initial thinking was any jerseys that haven't been sold out by the end of the tournament after the final, that I shortly just after the final cut the supply and end the drop, right? Um, but somebody suggested maybe as teams get eliminated, you cut the supply, and as well. So I might do that. I haven't decided yet.
That's interesting. Yeah, you might as well. I don't think there's a lot to lose there.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, like, is it going to be more than just like clothing?
For sure. We're doing all the traits, and I'll give you a teaser here today, right? I have, for example, a laser eyes trait, right? And the way the traits are done is you can set a trait to be eligible for swapping with all traits, like we have with the jerseys. You can make it swappable only with a very specific set of traits, or just one, which is what we did with the basketball jerseys. Or you can say that any eye trait can be replaced with this eye trait as long as the misfit has this head trait, for example, right? Which the laser eyes that I'm going to introduce will become swappable with any of the eyes as long as that misfit has the super misfit head, right? The super misfit / Superman head. So able to have your Superman shoot his red laser eyes. Um, if you want, and things like that. So I have many ideas, many traits that were actually drawn pre-mint that have gone to the cutting floor, let's call it, which I plan to introduce. So it's across today. It's across all the categories in terms of what I've already drawn. What I haven't drawn yet, but I plan to do so, are also more skins. But that will take some time, because if I ever introduce a skin, I want it to be something that really stands out and looks good.
Yeah, and I can only imagine like the amount of time you spend drawing this stuff, right? I can imagine you wanting to take like some kind of a minor break from that.
No, drawing is my happy place, to be honest. It's I enjoy it, and whenever I'm drawing, more times than not, my kids are with me drawing as well. So
Nice.
it's always fun, and it's always a family activity.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick. I mean, like, good for you, man. I can only imagine, like, what is like the reception been so far from the community on like the labs?
I think people like it, to be honest. I think when we launched it, we saw a lot of people in our Discord share all their different misfits with all the different jerseys. Somebody figured out, and I didn't see this myself, right? But the dreads head, if you add the Brazil jersey to it, you kind of have a misfit that looks a bit like Ronaldinho, and people have been having fun with that. I've seen a lot of people post on X about it as well, and it's been nice, I think, to be honest. And I've seen some people pick up some of the jerseys of let's say smaller countries, smaller nations, debut nations, because once we close the lab, if a particular jersey has only been purchased twice or three times, it becomes a very, very limited trait. And
It's true.
People are enjoying it and having fun with it.
It's true. No, I definitely hear you. I see like a lot of people from D-Gods, from Medievals, from Primates, and like a lot of like different kind of ecosystems as well. It's kind of nice to see how like with these new communities, you have like an influx of collectors essentially who just like won't just like get there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and honestly, the reception to the art in general has been beyond my wildest dreams. I think um, I obviously personally liked it a lot, and I fell in love with what I was drawing. And in the next day or two, uh, I'm going to post a thread on exactly where the inspiration for the Misfits came from, and kind of how the base of the Misfits was formed. But
Mm.
the reception to the art uh, has been really nice and really good, and that kind of validation that I see from people in our Discord on X is all the fuel you need, all the motivation you need to continue to put your head down and get to work and deliver on the promises.
So tell me about like some of the challenges you faced so far.
So there's been challenges, right? There's I think one in the NFT world, uh, 2 weeks is a long time, right? And we've already had people come in talking about staking and when staking and some people kind of a bit let's say worried about the floor and where it would go, but that's been extremely minimal, right? And in most cases, I haven't had to be the one to respond to those, let's say, new holders, right? Because only holders can chat in our Discord. Um, the community responds, right, in terms of saying staking is coming. He's already said that he's working on it and it's coming end of July. Um, this was a free mint 2 weeks ago, and so on. So not really a challenge per se as far as challenges go, but that's something that you have to deal with, and I'm aware of it, right? I've just made a conscious decision to say that at this early stage, right, and how floor changes in the first month or two or three um, is not the end game here, right? Like if you want to own a misfit and you're owning a misfit more for the economic benefit of where the floor will go, then you have to be a bit more long term than 2 weeks or 1 month, 2 months, right? That's kind of been my message. I think the other thing, honestly, that's been a challenge more than anything else is, and I think I figured it out this week, is getting the right balance, in terms of what my day looks like, IRL, and where Misfits fits in between, where the Misfits fit in all of that, right? In terms of making sure that I'm spending the right amount of time on it. And I'm somebody who wakes up at 4 a.m. every day and sleeps at 10 p.m., sometimes 11 p.m., but that's my day, right? I wake up super early. I work out in the morning. Sometimes I just walk, but sometimes I work out. I go to my job. I have a very demanding job, and when I'm in the office, I'm kind of all hands on deck when it comes to my IRL job. Doesn't stop me from checking my phone and responding to messages and DMs and taking, if anybody has questions, and in the holder chat, responding to that. So I do that. But I come back from work and I make sure that there's a couple of hours before I go to sleep where I'm spending, actually building and working on, whether it's patching a bug that somebody discovered, whether it's responding to tickets that people have, whether it's working on the staking platform, which is my main priority today.
Mm.
And being able to balance all of this in a regular, while spending time with two young kids, who they're 12 and 9 today, and time you don't spend with them today is not time you ever get back. Right? So um, balancing all of this really is the biggest challenge. But I think we've come into a nice groove, kind of rhythm this week. I've already mentioned it in our Discord. I'm taking a 2-week vacation in July, traveling with my family, right? So that's a vacation from building and so on. But obviously, I still have my phone with me. I'm going to be there active GMing and responding and chatting with people. But that vacation is overdue and much needed, right?
Yeah, I hear you. Like, I think like that's the awesome part about like this industry is that you're only a DM away, but like equally, it's so hard to just like distance yourself a little bit, right?
Oh, extremely, extremely, right? And it goes both ways. Like when in my IRL job, um, yes, I go to the office 9 to 5, but it's not the kind of job where you leave the office and you're done, right? I'm constantly, like, it's Discord here, it's WhatsApp for work, and you're just always texting, you're always there. It's weekends, it's
Mm.
days, so grinding and working and being switched on and being responsive, um, really any time of the day, as long as you're not asleep, is not something that's new to me.
Yeah, one might say sleep is for the weak.
Sleep is for the weak, but I think sleep is extremely important.
Oh
So
hell yeah. Yeah, you
I,
cannot there are like a few individuals like Dana White from the UFC who simply like only sleep like 2 to 3 hours a night, but like for the rest of us, like it's probably between like oh
yeah,
5 and 8 hours.
yeah, I target 6, right? For me, it's not ideal 6. On weekends, I tend to sleep a bit more. It goes closer to 8, but on weekdays, I try to get 6. I mean, I try to be in bed by 10. Um, but there's been a few instances where I've been in bed, the lights are closed. I get something in Discord, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I need to head back down, get back on my PC, and patch this up right now. So I do that, and I've been doing that, but that will come down with time. It's natural. I think these kind of teething issues for any startup, um, you figure them out, and they become less common as time kind of progresses.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, I mean like dude, like tell me about like the meta you've been a part of, right? Because like we've seen liminals, we've seen anomaly, we've seen you guys, we've seen Shaolin Saga. What do you think like this meta says like to where we're at within the market?
It's very interesting, and it's one that Liminal's kicked off, right? And it's very interesting because, in my opinion, and the way I see it, is I think all four that you mentioned are very different in their approach to this, right? I think Liminals is a community first, art first type project where was a free mint and I believe zero royalties as well, right? And
I
they've
think so, yeah.
managed to establish a community and let's say holders, and then they can think about ideas in terms of where to build from there, right? For me, obviously, when I decided this was going to be a free mint, which was a very long time ago, it was much earlier in the year, way before I first posted about the Misfits Order. Um, Never expected kind of to have this free mania type of situation. For me, a lot of it was driven by um, kind of my experience with launching Alloy, right? Where it was 0.01 sold, right? But it was art only, not 100% original art, because it was one where it was a mashup of existing traits from existing Solana projects positioned as a tribute to uh, different Solana projects. Um, and there was no utility, right? In fact, the description of the project was no promises, no utilities, no Discord, no X, right? Art only. Um, and my experience with that led me to, um, if I want to launch a project, um, there is no idea in mind that I think I need funding for, right? So why charge people? Lower the barrier to entry. I've always had this fear that if I launch a project again, that it won't mint out, right? And I thought that if we go with a free mint, that lowers that risk. So that was my thinking, right? And then the utility and the other things that I talked about were also things that this is what I did with Alloy. I'm going to do everything better now with the Misfits Order. Um,
Mhm.
Anomaly is a project that repositioned, right? It was not intended to be a free mint to begin with, and I think they saw what happened with Liminal. They saw what happened with the Misfits Order. They saw what happened with their mint when they launched, and they repositioned, and rightfully so. And they minted out. I think the day of our mint, there was another project, Wonder Boss or Wonder Bros, that was also
Wonder
free.
Boss.
Yeah, and they also minted out. Um, and
I
then
think they
Shaolin,
did pretty well as well.
sorry.
I think they did pretty well as well.
they minted out super fast, right? I think it was the same day as our mint later that day, or maybe before. I can't recall exactly, but they also had like nice art, and they free mint, and they minted very fast. Shaolin, and I need to kind of look into this one a bit more. Also a free mint, but they've gone with a very small, limited collection, right? And it's helped with the floor today for them.
Yep.
Um, but also then the number of people who are able to participate becomes smaller, right? Has its pluses and minuses, right? If you want to build something where there's tools and all that, and in a lab, and have a community kind of that helps push you forward, um, larger number of holders can help, but also smaller number of holders creates that exclusivity, and kind of that idea that this is much more limited, right? It's a much smaller private club. So it's been very interesting to see free mania. Also within that, uh, let's say the plans, and how different projects have approached it has been very different the way I see it.
I hear you. It's interesting. I think like what it says to me is that there's like a whole bunch of interest within the market, just not a lot of liquidity.
For sure. I mean, we see the lack of liquidity when it comes to volumes in NFTs in general, right? Um, Now, we've seen some levels of liquidity in terms of um, increase, but I think even what we're seeing now, when it comes to, let's say, post mint, what's happened with us, we're at over 1,200 sold in volume today, right, for the Misfits orders, and we crossed the first 1,000, I think, relatively quickly. So that was a lot of liquidity relative to where we are today, but I think nowhere near what we were seeing, 3, 4 years ago. And honestly, I'm not sure if we'll get to that level of liquidity back. Um, if we will ever get there. But I think for the right project today, um, people will pay, right? And people are paying today off secondary. Um, there's no reason that they wouldn't spend that money on something new, unless two things, right? Awareness and conviction, right? Obviously, people need to be aware of something that launches and is new, and is potentially charging, but then they need conviction that this is something I'm willing to spend my money on, right? Instead of spending it in secondary, I'll spend it on a mint, and I'm spending it on this mint because I believe in 1, 2, 3, right? So I think there's still room for it, but I think the bar in terms of charging people to mint today is much higher than what it used to be.
I think so because like I think like people are still battling, right? Like the highs and the lows. From like 2021, right? People are still like obviously butthurt from a few years ago.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say that we're seeing a shift, right? To where a few years ago, a lot of people were just there for the sake of speculating, to where right here, right now, we're seeing like purists and collectors, right? Like not too many speculators, I would say. And I think it just like takes time. Like look at Pokemon cards, for example. Like it took them what, like 5 years to get to the highest they're at right now.
exactly. I think we have people in the ecosystem today who are battle scarred, let's call it, right?
Mhm.
And have a much better eye now um, for value, and much higher expectation when it comes to value, and what they're minting as well. I think art will continue to always be at the core of NFTs. I think that's the main thing, right? I think it's going to be very hard to get behind a project that you would never consider PFPing, right? So I think art is always going to be at the core, but I think projects need to evolve, right? I think projects need to become sustainable, and projects that have been around and are celebrating their third or fourth year anniversary, and we have many projects that have been through multiple rounds of CTOs and changes, and derugs, and things like that. Um, in what is IRL a very short period of time, right? But in the NFT world, it's a lifetime, right? So um, uh, for me, there is something here, right? And I think we're still trying to figure out the right model and the best model for it, and different projects are trying different things. Um, we're one of them, right? We're trying something that I think is relatively new, unique, and fresh. And I have personally a lot of belief in this working out, um, and we'll see what happens down the road. And uh, the goal is, I think people were telling me right after Mint that there's the Misfits have created a new playbook, right, for how a Mint campaign should be run. Um, Nothing would feel better than hearing people say that we've created the playbook for how an NFT project should be run. And I think with time we'll get there, hopefully. I can't hear you, man. Sorry.
Yo, there we go. The thing with playbooks in my book is that it's incredibly important to be aware of where you're at within the cycle, or like within the timing of the market. And I think for now, it really works for now, if anything, right? And I think like especially like what people can basically take away from like the way you guys have been doing things is that, if anything, the whitelist strategy, I think, will always be like a very, very, very good good thing. But also like just know whenever, I mean, like look at Anomaly, for example, right? Like they went from a non-free mint, like aka refundable mint, and they actually went for a free mint down the road. I think like once there's more liquidity in the market, you can adjust towards that to where you can basically, well, rise your mint price as more liquidity enters the market. Equally, so that's one. I think like you going for free mints has been like very, very smart. I think your whitelist strategy has like equally been very, very smart, because like you kind of, it made you slip over banana peel, and you had like everyone and their mom talking about you guys.
Yeah, I mean that's been something, right? And there's another project that I know a bit about, and I've only heard about it the last few days. That isn't a free mint, that I just checked, and it's fully minted.
Oh yeah,
Pepe cards, 4,200 supply, already fully sold out. So I think for the right project, if you can get the right thing behind it, and I agree fully, right? Like being able to understand where you are in the cycle is extremely important. But there will always be exceptions in different cycles, right? I think you can have the right project as long as they kind of have the right cards in place. They've been able to get the awareness in place and convince people of future value. Then you can convince people to pay, and vice versa. I think during an upcycle, a free mint can be a great catalyst for something that comes after that. Um, uh, the main difference is with cycles, the number of people who are able to charge in a down cycle is obviously much less, and the number of people who will opt for a free mint when we're all bullish is also going to be much less.
It's interesting, right? Like you're absolutely right. Like I will say on like Pepe cards though, like they were still like pretty cheap. I think like as long as you're staying like to the maximum of like 0.1, I think that's a safe zone. I mean, like the Planet Kaiju recently released a Hate It, and they minted out in like 2 hours as well, but like they also had like a very cheap mint.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what a time to be alive, right? Like, it's the double-edged sword. Like, right now, like, you want to build in the bear market, so you probably want to release right now in order to make sure that you're gonna like enjoy like the entire run up, if we would ever get there, right? If I'm betting on this, I'm betting on it that we will. But yeah, I mean, like, that's the double-edged sword. Like, right now, there's no liquidity, but you probably want to release in the bear. But like, if you're releasing at the top of the bull market, then whenever like there's a shitload of liquidity, then you're probably too late, and like your holders are not going to enjoy like the gains.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, people will pay for the right product at the right time, right?
Oh yeah.
Like today, for example, our lab, the trades are not free, but they're very cheap, right? They range from 0.01 to 0.05, and people who resonate and want it, and they're behind us, and obviously they're all holders, and many of them have bought Misfits off secondary as well. They've been buying the trades, and they've been paying for it. So it's an interesting time. I mean, and something that I think even 5 years in, when it comes to Solana NFTs, we're still very, very early. And
I
there's
think
a lot
so
of
too.
experimentation, a lot of ideas in the space, and we'll see kind of in the next 5 years, who's still around.
I mean, we're still in the collectible boom, right? Like Pokemon cards did not like instantly teleport to the billion. I mean, like, are they like $1 trillion market cap already? I think so, right?
I don't know, but I mean, you read about them every day, right? And
Yeah.
It's taken time, and people who have had conviction for a long time, some of them are able to monetize, at very attractive numbers today.
True. I mean, dude, having said that, like, is there anything before we close it off? Is there anything you kind of want to like leave the audience on off? I mean, like, you're probably like the one individual I talk to that I talk the most to in like the past. Like, this is probably like our 4th time, if I were to guess.
Yeah, maybe third or fourth. And you were there, I think, from the very first tweet that we had, right?
Yeah.
I think we
Oh yeah.
spoke that day.
Oh yeah.
And we're speaking today. And in fact, I said prior to agreeing to do this, I had said that I won't be doing spaces and streams for a while, because that, like, an hour on a stream or a space is an hour I could be spending working on the staking platform. But obviously, when you put the idea and the free mania, it was a no-brainer for me to join. Nothing I think that specific in terms of something I haven't already said earlier that to leave people with. I think, when it comes to Misfits, if you like the art, if you like what you see, that's kind of the first step, right? You buy something that you would PFP, but beyond that, right? If you want to start to accumulate and collect and all of this, there's a big vision that I have behind all of this, and I lay it out in our Discord. I'm bringing what I think is a level of transparency that I haven't seen before in NFT projects, in the sense that all of the wallets associated with the projects are publicly disclosed in our treasury channel. I give updates on where we are in terms of how much we've earned from royalties, how much we've earned from the lab. And it's something I'll continue to do, because ultimately this all will flow back to the holders who will stay, right? So, in our Discord today, almost all of the channels are open even to non-holders in the sense that they can see them, right? People can come into our Discord, they can see our announcements, they can see our treasury information, and we have dedicated channels for our tools and lab and staking and so on. And they can see and go through all of this, right? And learn quite a bit about the project before committing. The channels that open up once you're a holder are the chat channels, right? And those are only accessible to holders.
Gotcha. Dude, like, thank you so much for like, I mean, like, if anything, building the relationship, right? Like, it's been a pleasure just like keeping an eye on you guys, to be honest with you. I think like you guys kicked the door down. Definitely like one of the more noticeable mints lately. Um, again, you value your time as I do mine, but like I do very much like well appreciate the fact that you're here yet again. Um,
Of
I do
course.
like I'm sure this is not the last time we're gonna have like a talk like this.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think it'll be nice, kind of, if I do a nice kind of big lab drop or a big tool reveal. We can spend kind of time talking through that, right? And
Oh yeah,
so this is definitely not the end of the discussions, right? I think I enjoyed time with you. I think I like the questions that you ask, and um,
appreciate it.
you've been showing us love and support since literally day one, right? So it's my pleasure always, man.
Well, I mean, like having said that, like you said, like whenever you have something nice to show or like any kind of developments for the lab, I got your friend Deacon founder on next Monday. Like that's a little alpha I got for the chat.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, Hyuga, thank you so much. Always, I mean, like it's nice to have like closed down Free Mania with you. I will say though, like there's a small chance, or like there's hopefully I'm getting like Shaolin Saga on next week, so we might extend it a little bit. But like it's a pleasure, man. As always, appreciate you, appreciate your community, and well, on to the next one.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
All
Have a
right.
good
Have a good one. Guys, make sure to follow Misfits Order, and make sure to follow the NFT Cat _soul as well. Damn it. Soon we'll be here yet again. And again, on to the next one. Cheers. Thank you for tuning in.